Coming up on the FRC Open Alliance show, it's 9644 NEIA Robotics is on to talk about their progress as they're going through. They've made a few pivots to what their strategy is going to be doing, from going from a level 3 climb to reducing that, going from a turret to a dual shooter. So we're going to be diving a lot more just into how they're making that changes, going through some new prototypes that they're doing as well too. We'll jump into some of their early CAD that they have and give a little bit of talk on how they've had to change some of the code architecture as well too. So let's learn more about them coming up here on the FRC Open Alliance show. This video on fun is brought to you by our viewers, supporters, members, and also in partnership with the following. FRC Tees has been trusted by over 250 FIRST teams to save on custom shirts and team apparel. Founded by FIRST alumni and offering a free 14-day turnaround with faster options available, you can save time and money for your team when you get a free quote by scanning the QR code or going to frctees.com. Osh Cut is a premier metal cutting service for FIRST teams. No minimum order, options for same-day turnaround, guaranteed lead times, and instant online quotes. Osh Cut is offering FIRST teams 50% off any future order up to $200 when you scan the QR code or go to funroboticsnetwork.com/OSHCUT. Just upload a 3D model or flat pattern to get started. And let's welcome on to the Open Alliance show. It's 9644 NEIA Robotics coming in out of Massachusetts. Welcome on. This first time on the Open Alliance show, so I'm very excited to talk to you about your progress, what you've been working on. So why don't you introduce yourselves? Let us know what you do on the team, and let's hop right into some of your progress.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Tyler. I'm Vishnu. I'm a sophomore. I'm one of the co-captains on 9644. I manage our business team and our code team, and I also have a hand in CAD.
Hi, I'm Cade. I'm the other co-captain, and I manage the mechanical team.
Yeah. So to give you a little bit of background about our team, this is our third year in FRC. We were founded 2 years ago in 2024, which was our rookie season, by a group of students. We identify very much as a student-run team. We have 2 non-technical mentors, and all of our robot decisions, competition strategy decisions, anything to do with how our team operates is entirely run by students. And we're very proud of that fact. But it also does, give us some limitations on how we operate as a team. This past year, 4 out of 6 of our leadership members graduated. And so we are 90% freshman rookie members with only 2 people who are actually have more than 1 year of FRC experience. So because of that, our build season has been very focused around sort of training our members along with building our robot. And for that reason, our prototyping has been very incremental and very methodical, really going into the details of what we need to do so that the team members who have never had an FRC experience before are really able to learn and connect with the program. And we aren't just deep diving into extremely complex stuff that only a couple members of the team would really be able to handle. And so I think Kate here can go more into detail about some of the prototypes that we've built.
Yeah, so early on, we thought that climbing would be a big part of the game. So we threw together this climbing elevator, right? So basically the idea here is we have an over-the-bumper intake, so we can have an open spot in the bumper. In that open spot, we drive up to the sidebar, and this has hooks on it. It comes up, hooks onto the first bar, drags it down to a stationary set of hooks, and then repeats that process to get all the way up. One thing we found with that is it's a lot harder than it seems, because you have to have the whole robot here, and as you're kind of reaching up, the rest of the weight of the robot is pulling it off of the hooks. So we realized that was a little bit out of the scope of our fresh team, as you'll see is a bit of a trend.
Yeah, so we initially completely prototyped this climber. We had hooks on it. We did all of the testing, and we realized that so our initial chosen archetype that we were really looking for was a corner bias turret with a spindexer in the center, an over the bumper intake, and then a L3 climb. However, we realized that that is a lot of mechanical complexity, especially for our limited manufacturing. So we actually have to outsource all of our metal CNC, and that's pretty limited. So most of our prototyping and our actual end robot is CNC'd polycarb, wood, box tube, right? Anything that you can really get as a COTS item. And so doing a turret, doing a climb, doing a spindexer, doing an intake, all combined would have been too much mechanical complexity for us to handle. And so actually this weekend, we made a huge archetype shift. going from that corner bias turret archetype that you see is pretty standard around a lot of teams. You can observe on Chief Delphi, to going to more of the other mainstream archetype, which is the double fixed shooter. Again, still with a spindexer and an over the bumper intake. We decided to fully scrap the L3 climb. We thought we didn't have enough time to fully prototype that and do all of the testing with the weight distribution and everything with all of our other subsystems, and also have a fully competitive robot. We really wanted to give more time to drive practice this year, and also tuning and testing all of the other subsystems to focus on the main game action. While we think that L3 climb is obviously going to be helpful for ranking, it's not going to be as important as it was in a game like Reefscape, for example, because you need somebody else to also be able to climb. And we thought that really prioritizing that shooting and having more shooter output would be more important.
So in the needs section on your when you originally posted from kickoff, you still put that you wanted to do a level 1 climb at least, and a level 1 climb in auto. Is that still part of your strategy?
Yeah. So we're still looking for that L1 climb, and I think that's much more achievable for what we're looking at. We think that a couple of climber in the boxes on the robot should be able to do that. Definitely in the center. We're aiming for a side climb, but if that doesn't happen, I think we'll still be pretty satisfied with being able to do L1 at any level, just so that if there is somebody on our alliance who has a L3 climb, we're able to assist them with that L1. And L1s are still pretty quick. So at the end of a match, if we don't have enough time to run back and do a full cycle, we'll still be able to hit the L1 and hit the L1 in auto.
So you have a couple of prototypes on the table there. Can we dive a bit more into where you're at with these?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So one thing we've been prototyping a lot is our intaking prototype. We've had, I don't know how many revisions. We found a pretty high ball compression is really useful. And then we have a polycarb backplate, which gives decent rigidity, but also like a little bit of compliance. So the higher compression, obviously it's going to consume more power, but we found that's worth it for how effectively it intakes.
Yeah, and I think another thing to add on our intake is we're really approaching the intake with a touch it, own it mentality. So a lot of the intakes that you might see on Chief Delphi or on YouTube or on Instagram often will have will be pretty effective, but they'll have one caveat of when they go into the ball, they'll often push out the other balls that are surrounding it. So I think this is really evident in a robot like the West Coast Products competitive concept, where their intake, while they can intake balls as they move into a large mass, like in the neutral zone, is still ending up pushing out a lot of those balls, which is just less effective in general. So we're really aiming to, put in a lot of speed into our intake. I think 694's Chief Delphi thread had a really good post on this of like approaching it as if it was a shooter, right? So adding a lot of robustness, a lot of speed, and just being able to intake really quickly.
So what are kind of some of the next steps for your team in terms of intake? So you have some prototyping done. Where are you going from here?
Yeah, from here, obviously we talked about that design change this weekend. So we're going to do a lot of prototyping with twin dexers, right? So we can feed both shooters at once. And then just more prototyping of kind of tying the whole system together, right? We have a decent over the bumper intake coming along, just finalizing that, putting it together. Ideally, we want an extendable hopper just because we can get so much more ball storage out of that.
Yeah, and I think like the geometry. So we are approaching this with a slap down intake. So we don't want to do a 4-bar or a linear intake. We think a slap down is just the least mechanical complexity and still gives us a lot of power in terms of deploying. So combining that with an extendable hopper. So we just need to finalize a little bit of the geometry and the mounting solution on our actual robot. We're planning on just 2 easy 2x1 uprights and just running the intake bar through that. So that way we can just slap it down really quickly, really easily, have no problem. So we have on our schedule, we're aiming by the end of the week to have our intake completely finalized and mounted on our robot.
So you mentioned a little bit about indexing. I know you provided a video that showcased some of that prototyping. Can we describe a little bit what's going on there?
Yeah. So
actually, I'll pick this up.
Yeah, that was a pretty rough prototype. We've done this one. Then we kind of realized again with the redesign shift, we have to do the twin dexing. I was talking to a member on Mechanical Advantages team, and they were talking about Omni wheels being like significantly more effective at indexing, just because it allows the balls to fall into like the squished region of the spindexer faster, right? So we've ordered those. We're gonna do a lot of experimenting with that.
Yeah, and I think so Team Rembrandts has a really good balls per second analyzer that they created. So if you have a chance, definitely go check that out. But a lot of teams have posted their different indexing prototypes on there. One of the Twindexers that has really stood out to me was Team 1768 Nishoba's Twindexer. So they use exactly what Kid talked about, which is a dual Omni wheel setup. I think it's a 6-inch Omni wheel at the top, and then actually a 4-inch Omni wheel at the bottom. So you're really maximizing surface area that you're contacting the ball with. And then on the output end, they have a full shaft that goes through with wheels to accelerate the ball into the shooter even more. So I think that hit around 13 or 14 balls per second in the limited videos that I've seen of it. But that's obviously a really powerful archetype that we're looking to move towards. Again, like I said, we shifted to that dual shooter idea just yesterday. So prototyping a Twindexer is also on our list of priorities this week. We're aiming to have that also done by Friday with all of the geometry figured out so that we can hopefully by next week have that mounted along with our over the bumper intake.
I look forward to following that progress as well too. You mentioned like a 12 to 14 balls per second. Is that where your team is targeting personally?
Yeah, I would say so. I think it's pretty achievable, especially with how we're approaching our intake and with our indexer. I think that's doable. Obviously, the main benefit of having the 2-shooter output is more throughput. So the more, right, like moving away from the maneuverability of the turret, we really want to prioritize just having more ball output. So the faster we can clear our robot, the better. And so I think approaching that 13 to 14, or I think 14 is a little high, but 12 to 13 balls per second at max would be really nice for us. I think we definitely need more testing of integration of our systems to see, looking at the ball path throughout the robot rather than just in an individual subsystem, how that actually materializes. We're also, I think I can talk a little bit more about our shooter. So like I said, pivoting to that double shooter concept, we're drawing a lot of inspiration from the West Coast Products competitive concept shooter. We thought it was pretty powerful. It accelerated the balls quite a bit. And was able to output a lot of them. It was 3 columns instead of just 2. So we're looking at, integrating that nice compact design into our robot. And so hopefully the CAD for that will be done in the next couple of days. And I think like our next steps will really, really be focused on how do we integrate all of these individual subsystems. I think I'm fairly satisfied with the prototyping of our intake, and we do need more indexer prototyping. But I think the integration is really the key of all teams in Rebuilt, how they're going to perform on the field.
And you can, of course, check out their CAD progress too on their Cheap Delphi thread. If you click on that, you can see some of that dual shooter on there. I'm just going to bring that up real quick before we hop into CAD. Is there anything else in particular on your CAD that you want to talk about or highlight so far?
Yeah, for sure. So this is actually this was our rough mock-up of what we did for our dual shooter design yesterday. So once we made that decision, we immediately launched in. We had a nice snow day due to the huge snowstorm across the Northeast. So we launched into sort of designing our shooter. This was actually inspired by 3467 Wyndham Windups prototype shooter. So really focusing on accelerating the balls as much as possible through that path before it hits the main flywheel and shooter wheel, so that way we already have a lot of speed. And once it hits that wheel, we're not losing a ton of inertia or momentum. We're also looking at having 2 Krakens on each axle. So obviously splitting the axles or splitting the output shafts with the flywheels on them, so that when a ball is shot out from one, we're not affecting the path of the other, but just putting as much power into it as possible. We've also ordered the brass flywheels from STS. So we're planning on slapping those on as well, and just trying to get the balls as fast as possible in the output. We're also looking strategically at passing from the neutral zone and maybe even passing from the opposing alliance zone, which is harder as a dual shooter bot, but still possible when our shift is off. So really, like, a lot of power is kind of our focus. That CAD will definitely be very much different by hopefully the end of today or tomorrow.
Well, with
Right.
all these changes being made, I'm guessing that your code architecture has maybe changed a little bit and what that feature looks like. Is there anything that you want to mention in regards to that before we wrap up?
Yeah. So right, the huge pivot of switching from turret to double shooter, we did have a lot of our turret code actually done and finalized, and just really needed to be tuned and tested. Looking at some shoot on the move calculations and how that would work out. Right now, we're obviously pivoting our whole code architecture to this dual shooter design. We're looking at having the code finished ideally by Friday, so that once the robot is done, we can just get right into testing. We're drawing a lot of inspiration in terms of code from how the Rust Hounds RI3D bot actually was able to do pretty effective shoot on the move without a turret. So just orienting their drive base and moving and like being able to move laterally or vertically across the field while having a fixed rotation on the robot that adjusts as you move aimed at the hub, right? So really taking a lot of design inspiration from them as to how they did their shoot on the move code, I think will be our next steps. We're looking at having probably 5 different cameras on the robot, 4 on each swerve corner and 1 on the shooter, going for both full field localization when we're in the neutral zone or anywhere else on the field, but also having a camera that's aimed to be pinpointed at the April tags on the hub for effective shoot on the move. And those will run off of 2 or 3 orange pies, which isn't fully finalized. In terms of game piece detection and object tracking, we are not looking at that as a priority for the majority of the season, for sure. Definitely not by our first competition. We have a pretty split competition schedule this year, looking at a week 0 and a week 1, and then just going straight into a week 5. So we have a good 4 or 5 week gap between our competitions, where, if possible, we would also like to be able to integrate some object detection models, which should be pretty simple this year, given that it's a big yellow ball, which is pretty circular.
Well, we'll be checking with you shortly before those first events we have going on, so we can't wait to see your progress. But of course, you can continue to follow their progress by scanning the QR code or just going down to Chief Delphi and searching for 9644. So, NEIA Robotics, thank you so much for checking in with us. We can't wait to keep following along, and we wish you the best throughout the build season. Thanks a lot.
Thank you,
Thank
Tyler.
you.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell to stay up to date on future fun videos. Osh Cut is a premier metal cutting service for first teams. No minimum order, options for same-day turnaround, guaranteed lead times, and instant online quotes. Osh Cut is offering first teams 50% off any future order up to $200 when you scan the QR code or go to funroboticsnetwork.com/OSHCUT. Just upload a 3D model or flat pattern to get started. FRCTs has been trusted by over 250 first teams to save on custom shirts and team apparel. Founded by First alumni and offering a free 14-day turnaround with faster options available, you can save time and money for your team when you get a free quote by scanning the QR code or going to frcts.com.